Mr. Kramer. Mr. Kramer, no.
On this vote, the yeas are 47, the nays are 53. 3/5 of the senators duly chosen and sworn not having voted in the affirmative. The motion is not agreed to. Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent to be in order for the two leaders to enter motions to reconsider without being on the prevailing side with respect to the cloture votes on the motion to proceed to S 2882 and HR 5371. Further, that mandatory quorum calls with respect to the cow nomination and S Res 412 be waived.
Is there objection? Without objection.
Mr. President.
Minority Leader.
I enter a motion to reconsider the vote on the motion to invoke cloture on the motion to proceed to S 2882.
The motion is entered. The clerk will report the motion to invoke cloture.
Cloture motion. We, the undersigned senators, in accordance with the provisions of Rule 22 of the Standing Rules of the Senate, do hereby move to bring to a close debate on the motion to proceed to calendar number 168, HR 5371, an act making continuing appropriations and extensions for the fiscal year 2026 and for other purposes, signed by 17 senators.
Under the previous order, the mandatory quorum call under Rule 22 has been waived. The question is it the sense of the Senate that debate on the motion to proceed to H.R. 5371, an act making continuing appropriations and extensions for fiscal year 2026 and for other purposes, shall be brought to a close. The ayes and nays are mandatory under the rule. The clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Alsobrooks, Ms. Baldwin, Mr. Banks, Mr. Barrasso, Mr. Bennett, Mrs. Blackburn, Mr. Blumenthal, Ms. Blunt-Rochester, Mr. Booker, Mr. Bozeman, Mrs. Britt, Mr. Budd, Ms. Cantwell, Mrs. Capito, Mr. Cassidy, Ms. Collins, Mr. Coons, Mr. Cornyn, Ms. Cortez Masto, Mr. Cotton, Mr. Kramer, Mr. Crapo, Mr. Cruz, Mr. Curtis, Mr. Daines, Ms. Duckworth, Mr. Durbin, Ms. Ernst, Mr. Fetterman, Mrs. Fisher, Mr. Gallego, Mrs. Gillibrand, Mr. Graham, Mr. Grassley, Mr. Haggerty, Ms. Hassan, Mr. Hawley, Mr. Heinrich, Mr. Hickenlooper, Ms. Hirono, Mr. Hoven, Mr. Husted, Mrs. Hyde-Smith, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Justice, Mr. Kane, Mr. Kelly, Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Kim, Mr. King, Ms. Klobuchar, Mr. Langford, Mr. Lee, Mr. Lujan, Ms. Lummis, Mr. Markey, Mr. Marshall, Mr. McConnell, Mr. McCormick, Mr. Merkley, Mrs. Moody, Mr. Moran, Mr. Marino, Mr. Mullen, Ms. Murkowski, Mr. Murphy, Mrs. Murray, Mr. Ossoff, Mr. Padilla, Mr. Paul, Mr. Peters, Mr. Reed, Mr. Ricketts, Mr. Risch, Ms. Rosen, Mr. Rounds, Mr. Sanders, Mr. Schatz, Mr. Schiff, Mr. Schmidt, Mr. Schumer, Mr. Scott of Florida, Mr. Scott of South Carolina, Mrs. Shaheen, Mr. Sheehy, Ms. Slotkin, Ms. Smith, Mr. Sullivan, Mr. Thune, Mr. Tillis, Mr. Tuberville, Mr. Van Hollen, Mr. Warner, Mr. Warnock, Ms. Warren, Mr. Welch, Mr. Whitehouse, Mr. Wicker, Mr. Wyden, Mr. Young. Senators voting in the affirmative: Barrasso, Britt, Budd, Cornyn, Cortez Masto, Cotton, Kramer, Daines, Ernst, Fetterman, Graham, Grassley, Johnson, Justice, Kennedy, King, Langford, Marshall, McConnell, Moody, Marino, Mullen, Scott of South Carolina, and Sullivan. Ms. Collins, aye. Senators voting in the negative: Mr. Moran, aye. Senators voting in the negative: Blumenthal, Blunt Rochester, Coons, Heinrich, Hickenlooper, Kane, Kim, Merkley, Murray, Ossoff, Padilla, Reed, Sanders, Schumer, Slotkin, Warnock, and Welch. Mr. Hawley, aye. Mrs. Shaheen, no.
What that means is that every resource management plan from 1996 when the CRA was forward.
Ms. Klobuchar, no. Ms. Murkowski, aye. Ms. Also Brooks. Ms. Also Brooks, no. Ms. Duckworth. Ms. Duckworth, no. Mr. Markey. Mr. Markey, no. Mr. Thune. Mr. Thune, aye. Mr. Cassidy. Mr. Cassidy, aye. Mr. Durbin. Mr. Durbin, no. Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kelly, no. Mr. Lujan. Mr. Lujan, no. Ms. Hassan. Ms. Hassan, no. Mr. Peters. Mr. Peters, No. Ms. Cantwell, Ms. Cantwell, no. Mr. Hoven, Mr. Hoven, aye. Mr. Ricketts, Mr. Ricketts, aye. Mr. Sheehy, Mr. Sheehy, aye. Mr. Schiff, Mr. Schiff, no. Mr. Lee, aye. Mr. Crapo, aye. Mr. Bennett, no. Mr. Tuberville, aye. Ms. Warren, no. Mrs. Blackburn, aye. Mr. Bozeman, aye. Mr. Rounds, aye. Mr. Haggerty, aye. Ms. Baldwin, no. Mr. Schatz, no. Mr. Van Hollen, no. Ms. Rosen, no. Mrs. Capito, aye. Mr. Husted, aye. Mr. Banks, aye. Mr. Wyden, no. Mr. Booker, no. Ms. Hirono, no. Mr. McCormick, aye. Mr. Curtis, aye. Mr. Murphy, no. Mrs. Gillibrand, no. Mrs. Fisher, aye. Ms. Smith, no. Mr. Schmidt, aye. Ms. Lummis, aye. Mr. Tillis, aye. Mr. Gallego, no. Mr. Scott of Florida, aye. Mr. Whitehouse, no. Mr. Risch, aye. Mr. Paul, no. Mr. Young, aye. Mr. Warner, no. Mr. Cruz, aye. Mr. Wicker, aye. Mrs. Hyde Smith, aye.
Hello, Lindsay. How are you? On this vote, the yeas are 55 and the nays are 45. 3/5 of the Senate duly chosen and sworn not having voted in the affirmation. The motion is not agreed to.
Mr. President,
Majority Leader,
I enter a motion to reconsider,
motion is entered.
and I ask unanimous consent that if any nominations are confirmed during today's session of the Senate, that the motion to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table, and the President be immediately notified of the Senate's action.
Without objection. The clerk will report the motion to invoke cloture.
Cloture motion. We, the undersigned senators, in accordance with the provisions of Rule 22 of the Standing Rules of the Senate, do hereby move to bring to a close debate on the nomination of Hung Kao of Virginia to be Undersecretary of the Navy, signed by 17 senators.
Under the previous order, the mandatory quorum call under Rule 22 has been waived. The question is it the sense of the Senate that the debate on the nomination of Hung Kao of Virginia to be Undersecretary of the Navy shall be brought to a close? The yeas and nays are mandatory under the rule. The clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Alsobrooks. Ms. Baldwin. Thank you. Thank you. I got you. I got you. Mr. Banks. I got you. Thank you. Mr. Barrasso. Thank you. I got Scott. I got him. Thank you. Yeah, he didn't see me. Mr. Bennett, Mrs. Blackburn. Mr. Blumenthal. Ms. Blunt Rochester. Mr. Booker. Mr. Bozeman. I got him. No, not yet. Yeah, he did. Mrs. Britt. Mr. Budd. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Mr. Budd. Ms. Cantwell. Mrs. Capito. Okay. Thanks. Mr. Cassidy. Thanks. Ms. Collins. Mr. Coons. Mr. Cornyn. Ms. Cortez Masto. Mr. Cotton, Mr. Kramer. I got you. I did. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Crapo, Mr. Cruz, Mr. Curtis. Thank you. Mr. Daines. Ms. Duckworth. Mr. Durbin. Ms. Ernst. Mr. Fetterman. Mrs. Fisher. Mr. Gallego, Mrs. Gillibrand. Mr. Graham, Mr. Grassley, Mr. Haggerty. Ms. Hassan. Mr. Hawley, Mr. Heinrich. Mr. Hickenlooper. Ms. Hirono. Mr. Hoven. Mr. Husted, Mrs. Hyde-Smith. Mr. Johnson. Mr. Justice. Mr. Kane. Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kennedy. Mr. Kim. Mr. King. Ms. Klobuchar. Mr. Langford. Mr. Lee. Mr. Lujan. Ms. Lemus. Mr. Markey. Mr. Marshall. Mr. McConnell. Mr. McCormick. Mr. Merkley. Mrs. Moody. Mr. Moran. Mr. Marino. Mr. Mullen. Ms. Murkowski. Mr. Murphy. Mrs. Murray. Mr. Ossoff. Mr. Padilla. Mr. Paul. Mr. Peters. Mr. Reed. Mr. Ricketts. Mr. Risch. Ms. Rosen. Mr. Rounds. Mr. Sanders. Mr. Schatz. Mr. Schiff. Mr. Schmidt. Mr. Schumer. Mr. Scott of Florida. Mr. Scott of South Carolina. Mrs. Shaheen. Mr. Sheehy. Ms. Slotkin. Ms. Smith. Mr. Sullivan. Mr. Thune, Mr. Tillis, Mr. Tuberville. Mr. Van Hollen. Mr. Warner. Mr. Warnock. Ms. Warren. Mr. Welch. Mr. Whitehouse. Mr. Wicker. Mr. Wyden. Yep. Mr. Young. Senators voting in the affirmative: Barrasso, Bozeman, Capito, Cassidy, Collins, Cornyn, Cotton, Crapo, Cruz, Curtis, Graham, Grassley, Hawley, Husted, Hyde-Smith, Lankford, Lee, Lummis, McConnell, Moran, Mullen, Paul, Ricketts, Rounds, Schmidt, Scott of Florida, Scott of South Carolina, Sheehy, Thune, Tillis, Wicker, and Young. Mrs. Fisher, aye. I have you. Senators voting in the negative: Baldwin, Bennett, Blumenthal, Blunt Rochester, Cantwell, Duckworth, Durbin, Fetterman, Gallego, Gillibrand, Hassan, Heinrich, Hickenlooper, Hirono, Kane, Kim, King, Lujan, Merkley, Murkowski, Murray, Padilla, Peters, Reed, Rosen, Schiff, Slotkin, Warner, Warnock, Welch, Whitehouse, and Wyden. Mr. Booker, no. Ms. Smith? No. Ms. Warren? No. Mr. Marshall? Aye. Mr. Hoven? Aye. Mr. Sullivan? Aye. Mr. Ossoff? No. Mr. Banks? Aye. Mr. Schatz? No. Ms. Also Brooks? No. Mrs. Shaheen? No. Mr. Kelly? No. Mr. Daines? Aye. Mr. Markey? No. Holland? No. Ms. Cortez Masto, no. Ms. Ernst, aye. Mr. Budd, aye. Mr. McCormick, aye. Ms. Klobuchar, no. Mr. Marino, aye. Mr. Kennedy, aye. Mrs. Moody, aye. Mrs. Britt, aye. Mrs. Blackburn, aye. Mr. Johnson, aye. Mr. Kramer, aye. Mr. Schumer, no. Mr. Murphy, no. Mr. Haggerty, aye. Mr. Coons, no. Mr. Justice, aye. Mr. Tuberville, aye. Mr. Risch, aye.
On this vote, the yeas are 52, the nays are 47, and the motion is agreed to. Cloture having been invoked, the Senate will proceed to executive session to consider the following nomination, which the clerk will report.
Cloture, Nomination, Department of Defense, Hung Kao of Virginia to be Undersecretary of the Navy.
Okay.
Now we got a 2-hour clock. Senator from North Carolina.
President, on Saturday, I was in Western North Carolina for the day because that marked the 1-year anniversary of the landfall of Helene, and in a place that a hurricane's never really been before, about 200 miles inland, and the Smoky Mountain range. In North Carolina alone, Mr. President, it had an impact land-wise equivalent to the state of Massachusetts. About a dozen river basins were at historic 100-year flood levels, and the damage was tremendous. The loss of life, 108 people in North Carolina alone, more than 250 people by the storm. $59.6 billion in damages. It's actually the most expensive storm in North Carolina's history, breaking the previous record of $30 billion by Hurricane Florence back in 2018. 74,000 homes damaged or destroyed. 5,000 miles of roads damaged or destroyed, including major portions of I-40, which are still only one lane in each direction for about a 20-mile stretch between North Carolina and Tennessee. I-26 was damaged. Blue Ridge Parkway's just opened up. 848 bridges damaged and destroyed, 20,000 farms and 800,000 acres of timber damaged. 163 water systems damaged, with Asheville not having drinkable water for almost 2 months after the storm. Mr. President, when I was in Western North Carolina, I heard someone say that one community that I was in was back on its feet. But for every community that's back on its feet, there's still several communities that are on its knees or flat on its back. In fact, there are some communities that we wonder whether or not they ever will come back. And the reason I talk about it, in addition to being the 1-year anniversary, Mr. President, we've got real problems in the FEMA Disaster Relief Fund and resources available. The President rightfully acknowledged that there was a release of money about a month ago, but all of that is money that's already, those are reimbursements. Those are costs that have already been incurred. We haven't even gotten to a point to where we're trying to become more resilient or to prepare for the next storm. We're still, when I was riding from Old Fort to Chimney Rock, I was going down a stretch of highway, or not a stretch of highway, a stretch of state road. There are still cars in the creek beds. There are roads that are in the creek bed because they're trying to figure out where they're ultimately going to put it back on a hillside, when they can get stabilization there and actually have the funding to build the roads. I know a lot of people have moved on, Mr. President, but in Western North Carolina, we haven't moved on. We're suffering as much today as we were the day or 3 or 4 days after the storm last year. According to the latest FEMA Disaster Relief Fund monthly report, the major disasters account balance right now is at $1.4 billion. That is dangerously low. Last month, FEMA approved $7.5 billion from the major disasters account. In 2024, there were 90 FEMA-declared major disasters, nearly double the 30-year average, and 55 declarations per year, up 55 declarations per year. Already this year, and we're really ramping up in the hurricane season right now, we've had 40 major disaster declarations in 22 states. FEMA simply doesn't have the funding needed to respond to a major disaster. Ladies and gentlemen, we're in a shutdown posture right now. We have storms in the Atlantic and more storms forming off the coast of Africa, and we are not prepared for another major disaster should it hit this weekend. Nor do we have the money that we need to help communities across this country, especially in Western North Carolina, recover from Helene. The House passed continuing resolution that we tried to vote on this week had $22.5 billion for the FEMA Disaster Relief Fund. But that money's not here today because we're in a shutdown posture. We're not funding any area of government but we're especially hurting the disaster relief fund and FEMA. And the only thing standing in our way is a simple vote to continue funding at levels that my Democratic colleagues have agreed to before. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't have a CR that the president or that the majority leader has decorated with ornaments. We call it like decorate some of these spending bills like a Christmas tree. This is a simple continuing resolution to spend at the level we were spending yesterday. There's nothing more to it. There's money in here to help with disaster relief, but there's nothing more. This shutdown is hurting people in North Carolina. This shutdown will hurt more people. When I lost the season last year in the tourist season to the Blue Ridge Parkway and the Great Smoky Mountain Parks, that was a hurricane. That was an inland hurricane, a disaster. This year, it's the disastrous vote of the Democrats not allowing us to continue to fund at the levels that we did yesterday. We're not asking for anything more than that. We're asking for time to negotiate the premium tax credits, the ACA credits that I'm on record as saying we do need to find a good place for that. It's not about canceling them. But folks, we can't even get to that if we can't agree to something as basic as can we spend today what we did yesterday? And I know that there are several members on the other side of the aisle that would like to move with a clean CR and get to that negotiation. And I'm just speaking on behalf of people in North Carolina, particularly Western North Carolina, that are struggling mightily. I hope that we can get back to funding the government, that we can plus up the disaster relief fund, and that I won't have to come to the floor next week to see who's going to be against this unanimous consent for doing just that. Let's do our job. Let's get back in business. Let's get the government funded, and let's help the people in North Carolina and dozens of disaster-declared places all across this country. Thank you, Mr. President.
President.
Senator from Massachusetts.
Mr. President, in July, when Republicans voted on the first spending bill for 2026, with cuts that would knock 15 million people off health care, I stood right here and I asked my Republican colleagues in the Senate to grow a spine and stand up for Americans. We are here today because the Republicans refused. Instead, Republicans bowed down to Trump, and now people all across this country will suffer. Let's be clear. Republicans shut down the government because they rather make health care more expensive than keep the government running. That is literally where we are right now. Republicans control the House, Republicans control the Senate, Republicans control the White House. They are in power. It is their job to keep the government running for the American people, and they have failed. Donald Trump and the Republicans own this shutdown. And don't take it from me. Listen to Donald J. Trump. In 2013, Trump himself said about a potential government shutdown, quote, "If there is a shutdown, I think it would be a tremendously negative mark on the President of the United States. He's the one that has to get people together." That's Donald J. Trump. Now, at the same time, Trump said, quote, "The president has to lead. You have to get people in a room, and you have to just make deals for the good of the country." Donald Trump today should listen to Donald Trump from yesterday. Instead, Trump, Mr. Art of the Deal, hasn't been able to cut a deal for the most basic government functions. Wow. As Trump said, that is a tremendously negative mark on the President of the United States. Let me say it again. Democrats are fighting to roll back the Republican cuts that will take away health care from millions of people and raise health insurance premiums for millions more. That's it. That's what we're asking for. We have been asking for months to negotiate over this, and the Republicans have said no. What are they doing right now? Are they making counteroffers? Are they saying we could go this far but not this far? Nope. They are simply saying no. So now, when a family is forced to the brink of bankruptcy from one bad medical diagnosis, Trump and the Republicans own it. Republicans insist that those health care cuts go through. When community hospitals have to shut down, Trump and Republicans own it. When kids with cancer can't get treatment because potentially life-saving research grants come to a screeching halt, Trump and Republicans own it. When insurance premiums skyrocket, Trump and Republicans own it. Healthcare in America was already broken, but Trump and Republicans are making it much, much worse. They ripped away money that covers mamas giving birth and neighbors who need wheelchairs and home health aides, and they handed it over to giant corporations and billionaire CEOs. Democrats believe that no one should go bankrupt because they got sick and needed to see a doctor. So Democrats are here to say, we are willing to fight for families who need health care. If Congress is going to pass a budget for the United States government, then Democrats want saving health care for millions of Americans just to be part of that deal. Democrats have made that clear, and Republicans have refused even to talk about it. Trump is already doing his best to shut down government, or at least to shut down the parts of government that he doesn't like. Since day one, Trump has been trying to illegally wipe away millions of dollars for programs that Congress already agreed to fund. Trump and his buddy Elon Musk have fired tens of thousands of federal workers. Trump is declaring American cities as war zones and sending troops to invade communities. Trump is playing king time and time again, and Republicans in Congress are bowing down and letting him do it. While all of that is going on, Republicans in Congress want Democrats just to sign a blank check and hand it over to Trump and let him continue to shut down whatever he doesn't like and to destroy our democracy. They want us to agree to a budget knowing full well that Trump will then turn around tomorrow and delete this part or that part or whatever he doesn't like, just like he has already done. Why would we play along with that farce? Why would we throw our support behind a deal that any time, any day, Trump could just decide he doesn't feel like honoring it? And why would we do that without getting anything in return to help American families who are struggling with high costs, particularly the health care costs that Republicans are driving up? To do that would be a betrayal of the American people. Senate Democrats are holding the line for families. Senate Republicans decided they'd rather take orders from a wannabe king and shut down the entire government instead of helping out families who are getting squeezed on health care costs. It really is that simple. Make no mistake, this Trump shutdown will hurt people. Because of Republicans, children across this country could lose access to childcare through Head Start. Because of Republicans, the National Institutes of Health Clinical Center will now stop enrolling patients in clinical trials that could be their only shot at treatment. Because of Republicans, air traffic controller hiring will stop at a time when we're already dealing with a dangerous shortage. Because of Republicans, park rangers and thousands of other civil servants won't get paid. Because of Republicans, Donald Trump's corruption and chaos will continue. So what's next? Well, Democrats want to keep the government open and We want rollbacks of the Republican cuts that will cost 15 million Americans their health care coverage and drive up insurance costs for everyone else. Look, this isn't partisan. This is a righteous fight on behalf of everyone who needs health care, everyone who might need to go to the hospital, everyone who counts on a community clinic or a home health aide, whether they are a Democrat, a Republican, an independent, or a none of the above. We are in this fight for Americans and for American health care, and it is only the Senate Republicans, led by Donald Trump, who stand in the way. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.
Mr. President.
Senator of West Virginia.
Mr. President, as I was sitting and listening, I feel like I'm living in an alternative universe here sometimes, and I'm sure the American people feel this way. Are people being hurt today? You're daggone right they are. They're being hurt because Senator Schumer and his following will not quite simply reopen the government so we can begin negotiations on some of the issues that are a part of this disagreement. So I'm a senior member of the Appropriations Committee, and one of my most important responsibility is to make sure that the government stays open and working for the people that we represent. That's why I'm so deeply disappointed to be standing here today in the midst of a totally avoidable government shutdown, all because the Senate Democrats refused to join us as Republicans in supporting a common sense, short-term, nonpartisan continuing resolution. And we've seen Leader Thune pick it up in his hands. Very simple. Let's just keep the government open until November the 21st, discuss these issues, finish the appropriations process, and move on. But let me be clear what that short-term continuing resolution was designed to do. It is not a gimmick. It is not a gimmick. It's the same legislation that the Senate Democrat leader brought before this body 13 times and had it passed. It's not a partisan maneuver. It's a straightforward measure to keep critical services in operation while giving Congress the time that we need to finish our work on appropriations through regular order the way that we used to do it. And some of our Democrat colleagues have agreed with us in the last several votes. So bottom line, we don't have to be where we are, and we really shouldn't be here, because this position is untenable. We have a path forward. It's so easy. It's so easy. When people are watching this, they're hearing us try to, blame one person or the other. The easy thing is turn around and vote to reopen the government, and we can begin to have our conversations. We have a path forward. It requires the Democrats to come to their senses, quite frankly, and vote for this reasonable measure. The Senate has already passed 3 appropriations bills, which is 3 more than we passed under their leadership last year. And we have 5 more that have received heavy bipartisan support in committee and are ready for a full Senate vote. That would be CJS, Defense, Interior, Labor H, which I chair, and THUD, which is the Transportation, Housing, and Urban Development Bill. That's progress. That's responsibility. That's what we're here for. That's us doing our job. But in order to complete the process, we need time. And the continuing resolution is that bridge of time to keep the government open while we finish our work. So unfortunately, the Democrats have chosen a different path. They have chosen to shut down the government. That's where we are today. The government is shut down. They made a political calculation, all based on politics, appeasing their far-left base instead of doing the right thing for the American people. And unfortunately, hardworking families all across this country who rely on critical government services are the ones who are suffering. Government shutdowns have real consequences. In West Virginia, our businesses and our federal workers face uncertainty about their pay. Families who rely on essential benefits are put in limbo. It's scary for people. Some people with children with disabilities or folks that rely on services daily are concerned about where this is going to lead. Small businesses are waiting on federal permits on loans. They're going to have to wait longer. And while so many others are told yet again, as we see, the politics of Washington is coming before the people. My state of West Virginia has the third largest amount of federal employees. We're situated quite close to the District of Columbia. So all of those public servants who are bearing the brunt of this nonsense, please know how much I value your contribution every day, and that I'll work tirelessly to get you back to work, to get you back to that certainty that you need. You know, the shutdown is just so avoidable, and it's so unacceptable. But you know what? As Republicans, we're not giving up, because we never do. And as Leader Thune has indicated, we will continue bringing forward opportunities for the Democrats to join us in reopening the government. We'll keep voting to do the right thing and give them a chance to do the same. The American people expect Congress to be responsible stewards of their tax dollars. I know that's what my constituents in my home state of West Virginia want me to do. They expect us to keep the government functioning. I can't even believe I'm having to even say this, because it's just such a given. They want the government open while we debate our differences. That's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be debating, not shutting down the government. And that's what the Republican CR would have allowed us to do. So I urge my colleagues across the aisle, quit playing the political games, end the shutdown, and join us in funding the government. Let's finish our work on the appropriations process, and let's return to the regular order process that we have begun at the beginning of the summer, because it brings transparency, accountability, and bipartisanship back to the appropriations process. We have it in committee. We need to have it on this floor. It's what West Virginians deserve. That's what the American people deserve. That's what they expect. Quite frankly, that's what they expect every day. These young people on the floor are getting to hear a debate, and I'm sure it's one that they'll remember, and I'm sure they're thinking to yourself, it's a simple thing: reopen the government. Reopen the government. Why was it closed in the first place? For a political stunt that's not working. They're boxed in. Let's just say, okay, let's open, let's begin our discussions, and let's solve the problems that we have in front of us. So with that, Mr. President, I thank you, and I will yield the floor.
Mr. President.
Senator from Nevada.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise today to mark the 8th anniversary of the worst mass shooting in modern American history. And today, as I give this speech, far too many Americans across the country are reeling from the pain of shootings in their own communities. This country is seeing a horrifying increase in mass violence that doesn't just destroy the lives of the victims, it tears apart families. It leaves loved ones with an unfillable hole in their hearts, and it brings communities to the breaking point. I've seen it firsthand. 8 years ago today, a man gunned down 58 people at the Route 91 Harvest Music Festival in Las Vegas, Nevada. More than 800 people were wounded in that chaos, and 2 people later succumbed to their injuries. That day and those that followed were some of the toughest for all of us. Me personally, my niece was attending that festival, and I remember the overwhelming relief that I felt to learn that she was safe and okay. But I also remember spending time at the reunification center with the families of the missing festival attendees, praying with those families, crying with those families, watching them as they were hoping and praying that their loved ones would return to them. Some were lucky, but many were not. Our city, our entire state of Nevada, felt lost. But I will tell you, out of this horror came something miraculous. In the aftermath of 1 October, Nevadans came together to support each other. People came out in droves to give blood. There were lines around the block. They donated money, food, clothing, and they lent a helping hand to those who had lost so much. I will tell you, businesses, community organizations, and law enforcement did what they could to ease the burden of the families who had been impacted. And I worked across the aisle with my colleague, Republican Senator at the time, Dean Heller, to get financial relief for the victims. Our city united in the face of this tragedy, and we came out of it Vegas strong. I am forever touched by those incredible efforts to shine a light in the darkness. But even all that good cannot erase the scars left behind by this massacre. Its victims were innocent people who went to a music festival to enjoy themselves. It didn't matter what they did for work or what they believed or who they loved. They were actually gunned down indiscriminately. In the 8 years since that tragedy that shook my state to its core, we've sadly seen more violence erupting across the country. We've seen it in places of worship, in schools, and in grocery stores. As Americans, as members of Congress, we have to continue speaking out against it. Violence is never the answer. We cannot survive in a country where this is the norm. We have to do better in our rhetoric and our actions. For me, that means coming together to work on common sense solutions like finally banning bump stocks, passing comprehensive background checks to make sure that criminals can't exploit loopholes to buy deadly weapons, and delivering more support for, yes, mental health in this country. And it also means always remembering the victims of the Route 91 Harvest Festival massacre, grieving the lives they never got to live, and the families they never got to come home to or create, serves as a stark reminder of the horrors violence like this can cause. We owe it to them and to their loved ones to keep working together to end it. In the aftermath of this tragedy, Las Vegas has rebuilt. We have risen from the ashes stronger than ever. We will never forget the trauma inflicted on us that day. That pain must fuel us to work together toward a better future for our children, for our families, and for our country. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.
The care of American children with cancer, again, Democrats are fighting to give health care benefits to illegal aliens. The Trump administration is fully committed to lowering health care costs and advancing policies that will save American lives. But right now, we need to keep the government open and funded. And individuals and organizations across the political spectrum, across the country, agree with the Trump administration and Republicans. The labor union leader, the Teamsters, Sean O'Brien, sent a very blunt message to Democrats over their destructive antics. He said American workers are not bargaining chips. Senators need to stop screwing around and pass the House-passed clean short-term funding bill. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce, the world's largest business organization, called to immediately pass the Republican clean CR, saying, quote, shutdowns are harmful to the economy, the American people, and our national security. And even Democrat Senators Cortez Masto and Fetterman acknowledged that their party is betraying the American people with this costly and chaotic Democrat shutdown. Enough is enough. Democrats need to stop sabotaging our country and holding the American people hostage in the country. Democrats need to do their jobs. The American people want the government reopened, and this is proven in a new New York Times poll showing that 2 in 3 Americans say the government should not be shut down by the Democrats, even if their absurd demands are not met. The president and Republicans are working very hard to reopen the federal government. The vice president here has been crucial in this effort. We encourage all Americans across the country, call your Democrat senators and encourage them to reopen the government. That's what President Trump and the vice president want to do. And with that, I will turn it over to our great vice president, J.D. Vance.
Great. Well, thank you, Karoline, and good afternoon to everybody, and good afternoon to everybody who's watching at home. It's a tough act to follow, but let me just say a few things, and then I'll take a few questions. Number one, Democrats say that they care a lot about lowering health care costs, and yet, when the president took historic action to work with the drug companies to lower prescription drug prices, the Democrats did nothing to help us. In fact, we would have loved to have the Democrats helping us, but they didn't. They talk about doing something. They don't actually do the hard work of making it happen. What they have done instead is to shut down the government because we won't give billions of dollars to health care funding for illegal aliens. That is what has actually happened. To the American people who are watching, the reason your government is shut down at this very minute is because, despite the fact that the overwhelming majority of congressional Republicans and even a few moderate Democrats supported opening the government, the Chuck Schumer AOC wing of the Democratic Party shut down the government because they said to us, we will open the government, but only if you give billions of dollars of funding for health care for illegal aliens. That's a ridiculous proposition. Let me say two other quick things, and then again, I'll take some questions. Number one, we all understand that Democrats and Republicans have policy disagreements. The Democrats want to do things. Look, when Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries were in here a couple of days ago, they made some suggestions that the president was more than happy to say, yes, let's sit down and talk about how we can solve the health care crisis that we inherited from the Biden administration. But it's one thing to say that we should solve the health care crisis for Americans. It's another thing to say that we're going to shut down the government unless we give the Democrats every single thing that they want, which, as Karoline says, includes giving billions of dollars of taxpayer funding for health care for illegal migrants. That's ridiculous. You don't have policy disagreements that serve as the basis for a government shutdown. Let's have the conversation about how to fix American health care, about how to make